Hello, lovelies, and welcome to the November edition of Hold My Coffee 2021. We are almost to the end, and this is a very exciting video from me. Not because it's NaNoWriMo and I thrive on the 50K a month word counts, but because the Wild Anemone is going to launch on November 19th. So, thank you, Editingle Indie House, for picking up the PagosaCliffs collection. Nano is going very well for me. This morning, I am at over 11K for Nano. I am working on the Revelation Night series, Revelation of Ash, Ravers, and now Project Elm. The only hiccup I'm having is these books were written in 2016 and 2017, and it's contemporary, but the world now is very, very different from the world then. So I'm having to filter out the post-pandy things that we're all programmed with to write in that world. So that's been an interesting thought experiment. But it's 11,000 words so far, just right on track. Hit my 13 today and I'll be all caught up. So I have, for those who are taking Nano, I have a 4-part video series on non-writing creative support. So I'll put the links in it if you'd like to check those out. I'm sure they can help you. And then now to my exciting news. Okay, stop, breathe. So the Wild Anemone. It's coming out this month on the 19th at last. Editingle Indie House. They have been through so much, but they're still managing to get books out. They got the Halloween anthology, link is below. The Christmas anthology is coming. Don't have a link to that, but I will link it in when I get it. And then the Wild Anemone, which I will also put the link in the bottom. So without further ado, let's get comfortable, and I'm going to read you the first chapter of The Wild Anemone. All right. The Wild Anemone, Chapter 1. After her all-night drive from PagosaCliffs to Las Vegas, Millie took a small nap at the Harper house and prepared herself to see her sisters, parents, and son again. The last 2 years, and especially the last 4 months, had been a tribulation unlike anything she ever imagined. Her sister and husband were both dead. Millie grieved them as much as she hated them for their betrayal. Everything, from rescuing her late husband from carjackers outside the Velvet Rope strip club to her divorce, was a lie that Marni and her ex-husband Edgar created to stay with each other. She often prayed and asked for guidance in forgiving Marni and Edgar, but still struggled to overcome her bitterness. The only reason for her visit today was Marni's birthday, and little Emily deserved to know her mother. Millie was not ready to visit the place where she buried her son, where she saw Edgar alive for the last time. The wounds were still raw. Nonetheless, she forced herself to get out of bed. could not collapse into despair again as she had in the weeks after Charlie's death. Emily needed her, and her best friend was waiting to drive her to see Marni Ann. Walking to the back of Our Lady of Angels, Milly held Emily close. The 3-month-old looked around curiously at the large cathedral and made sweet noises. Jackson followed behind quietly. Visiting Marni was just as hard for him as it was for Milly. He was in a relationship with Marni in high school, but it had turned into a disaster, proving that Jackson was more gay than bisexual. Marni's selfishness had hurt him and helped him too. He was very close after their breakup until he met Mitchell Abernathy. Both of them helped each other to overcome their problems and had been a couple for 5 years now. They would get married in a few months at Milly's new bakery. Milly was finally going to take her aunt up on her offer to convert the wild anemone bed and breakfast into a bakery after the townspeople of PagosaCliffs fell in love with her baked goods. Life was finally getting better for her. Marni Ann Charlotte Haywood, beloved daughter, beloved sister. Hey sis, we made it. Milly put her fingertips gently on the crypt nameplate. Emily, say hi to your mother. She brought the child's tiny hand up, put it on the plate, and sang Happy Birthday in breathy whispers. Holding the small hand over the plaque with Marni's name as long as the baby allowed. Emily made cooing noises and patted the cool brass surface as Marni's birthday gift. Milly had decided to have the words Beloved Mother added to it. Below Marni's name and engraved Milly's son's name, Charles Haywood Rowling, son of Milli Haywood Rowling and Edgar Rowling. My sweet Charlie boy, I only had a moment with you, my little angel, gone to heaven too soon. Tears flooded out of her eyes. Hey, baby boy, Mommy brought your big sister to see you for Auntie Marnie's birthday. We miss you both so much. Jackson held out his arms and traded flowers for Emily. He nuzzled the little girl's hair, weeping silently as Milly placed the flowers in the vase for her family and said a rosary. The baby reached up and patted the wetness on his face, making cooing sounds as if she were trying to comfort him. After spending a little more time with her family, Milly moved over to another plaque and put 2 carnations below it and lit a candle. In memory of Roxanne and Duran Velvet. Milly never knew what happened to her sister Roxanne after their mother killed her. Her adopted mother, Dr. Emily Haywood, buried Duran and insisted on having Roxanne's name added to the memorial plaque, so Milly would have a place to mourn and remember her lost siblings. Milly missed the woman who had been her true mother, especially now that she was Emily's mother. After spending an hour at Our Lady of Angels, they emerged out into the cold Las Vegas winter. Thanks for taking the day off, Jackson, Milly said as they walked to the car. Anything for you and our princess. Now tell me more about PagosaCliffs. We didn't have time to catch up when you arrived. Have you met anyone? Auntie said you had a weekend away. Jackson brought up the subject to avoid having to lie. He didn't want to tell her he quit his job to spend this week with her and Emily. Life after she left the famous Vegas cakery had been hard. If it weren't for Mitch, Jackson didn't know if he would have the strength to keep going. I went away last weekend with the deputy I mentioned, but it won't go anywhere because his ex-wife hates me like Mitch hates liver doulette. You hate it more, Jackson reminded, joking, but Millie shook her head, unable to laugh about their shared years-old dislike of Ethiopian food. Millie, oh, sorry, the page jumped. Millie quietly revealed to her best friend about Lloyd. She felt happy and safe in his arms. But then he spent the week at his ex-wife's, taking care of his niece and blowing her off. Millie tried not to feel bitter about their last conversation. She offered to date him, and he rejected her offer. But he wouldn't. He told me his whole family had given up on his niece because of Tanya's beef with them. I don't understand the situation. A lot of people think Tanya is a saint. She seems like a good person to everyone, but some people hate her. There is something about her. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but it's weird. Millie shrugged nonchalantly. The events that occurred with Lloyd, especially the water incident, shocked Jackson. He knew of Millie's fear of water, but she tried to overcome it just for Lloyd, which showed how much she cared about him. The rationalization angered him more. She tried to trust someone again, and he crushed her heart like all the others, reinforcing her belief that she was not worth enough to be loved. His hands tightened on the steering wheel, thinking about it. I can't believe you jumped in a pool to make him change his ink. What were you thinking? Jackson blurted out, unable to hold his anger in any more. It worked in theory. He got his ink changed, and she found a new way to own him. Millie looked out the window. She didn't want to think about Lloyd anymore. It's for the best. I'm not ready to start dating anyway. Jackson said nothing after that, as he navigated through the busy Las Vegas streets, glancing at Millie now and then. She was playing with Emily, who made happy baby noises in her car seat in the back, making Millie smile. But he knew behind that smile she was hiding her pain. Sensing Jackson's gaze, she gave him a small smile before returning to look at the busy streets, which differed from their usual route. Instead of driving from the church to his house, they were going somewhere else. Where are we going? Millie glanced at Jackson questioningly, and he just grinned. Do you remember the Betty Boop Club? When the Betty Boop Club added a restaurant with the cool red enameled appliances a few years ago? Yash, I love their decor, Millie gushed, clapping her hands together once. Betty sold the land to the Oasis. She couldn't afford to keep both the club and the salon open, Jackson explained. His grin widened like a Cheshire cat. Would you like to go see it before we meet Dad for dinner? Sure, but why? Because Mitchell and I got Miss Betty to sell you all the equipment at half price before they closed down. Really? Millie shrieked with happiness. Her jade green eyes sparkled with excitement. Only her seatbelt kept her from hugging him. Oh my God! Oh my God! But calm down. For a second, there's a special request. Miss Betty wants you to make her final party cake in exchange for the discount. Since you don't work for the Velvet Rope anymore, she wasn't afraid to hire you for her party. And in return, I'll get all the kitchen equipment for half price? Millie drummed her fingers on her thighs. She wouldn't have to buy 20-year-old used equipment from a restaurant reseller anymore. Instead, she would have 4-year-old equipment, exactly the color of red she most desired. Would it be worth risking the wrath of the Valtini family to bake for the club that had been their nemesis? She wondered for a minute, but decided to take the risk, thinking about how much closer the opportunity would bring her to her dream. What style of cake and for how many? She found herself asking, trying to hold back her excitement. And that's the end of chapter 1 of The Wild Anemone. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you on the 19th for my book release. And maybe I'll read some more then. Okay, yes, I will. Thank you for asking. I get a little excited. If you are doing NaNoWriMo, I hope that you're doing well. Don't get upset if you're behind on your word count or if you're just stuck on something. Change projects. Skip ahead. Do something else creative. It doesn't have to be writing. Just express yourself. Be blessed and have a very lovely November. Autumn and fall in Colorado is being its normal bipolar, give Mother Nature a Midol and a chocolate cake because she needs it, this kind of month. Up and down the temperatures. Right now, we've gotten kind of into this nice, very pretty pattern of frost at night and warming up into the 60s during the day. So it's really very lovely. Unfortunately, last week we had some really heavy winds come through and all of our pretty golden leaves just went fleet and they're gone. But here's some pictures of PagosaCliffs and the area around there so that you can see how pretty it is. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh my goodness. And they are getting snow this week. So ski roads resorts are opening up all over Colorado, my Breckenridge mug, because yes, lovely places. Glancing back at to make as he started, I've lost my place. You are too much of a distraction.